What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to go over how to recomp. So this is pretty much building muscle and losing fat at the same time. And I'm going to give you a full step-by-step guide on how you can do it. So most people think you have to choose between losing fat or building muscle, but what if I told you that you can do both at the same time? It's called body recomposition. And if you do it right, you'll get leaner, stronger, and more muscular, all without extreme bulking and cutting cycles. This is a successful body recomp that I actually did. I was actually 197 pounds. I had a lot of excess fat that I just didn't need. So we cut down a lot of that excess fat, getting me down to 160 lean, and I kept on most of my muscle size. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to recomp step by step. I'll show you the science behind it, real world strategies, and exactly how to optimize your training, nutrition, and recovery so you can maximize muscle growth while shredding fat. This isn't just bro science. I'll be pulling up actual research to back everything I say. So let's get into it. So first step is actually understanding what recomp is. Unlike a traditional bulk or cut where you're focusing only on muscle gain or fat loss, recomposition is actually about shifting your body composition. So this is just reducing fat while increasing lean muscle mass. So as you can see here, comparing body recomposition to cutting and bulking. In the cutting, you're in a caloric deficit, you're losing fat while possibly losing muscle mass as well. But where in the bulking, you're in a calorie surplus, you're gaining muscle, but also putting on fat as well. But then in the body recomposition, you're adjusting your maintenance calories throughout the process, putting on muscle as well as cutting down fat. This is possible because muscle growth and fat loss happens through separate pathways. So fat loss occurs through a caloric deficit and increased energy expenditure, while muscle growth happens when resistance training signals protein synthesis to outpace breakdown. As you can see here, this is actually one of my clients, Cole. He did a successful body recomp here. As you can see, we cut down fat, put on some lean muscle, and he is feeling so much better than when he first came to me and first started. Step number 2, nutrition. So this is actually like the key to recomp. So nutrition is the most important factor. You need to eat in a slight caloric deficit or at maintenance while keeping your protein levels high. So here's exactly how it works. So your calories starting at a maintenance or a 200 to 300 calorie deficit if you're carrying more body fat. And then for your protein, you need at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So research definitely backs this up. Optimal intake for muscle retention in a deficit. And then your carbs and fats. So balancing your carbs for more energy and your fats for hormone function. As you can see here in this little graph, your carbs need to be at 35%, your protein needs to be at 40%, and your dietary fat needs to be at 25%. So pretty much after a full day of eating, it should be sectioned off in these 3 categories percentage-wise. Here's a study showing that protein intake of 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound is optimally preserves muscle mass in a caloric deficit. This means you can lose fat without sacrificing muscle if you get your protein in right. As you can see here from these 2 graphs, we have 2 different people, one that was lacking protein and someone who had enough protein. As you can see, the person that was lacking protein put on no muscle, where they actually did lose 8 pounds of fat though. But the person that actually kept their protein high and ate the same amount of calories gained 3 pounds of muscle and even lost more pounds of fat. So 11 pounds of fat gone. So when you build more muscle, your metabolism gets higher, which means burning more fat. Here's what a solid recomp meal plan can look like. You have some lean protein sources, some complex carbs, and healthy fats in a balance. Here's just a quick little graph of what actually 100 grams of protein can look like. So as you can see here, peanut butter toast, we got half a cup of trail mix, 2 eggs plus 3 bacon, 4 ounces of salmon, Greek yogurt and fruit, and a cup of edamame. Step number 3 is training for recomp. So this is a science of progressive overload. So your training needs to be dialed in for recomp. That means prioritizing progressive overload, continuously challenging your muscles with more resistance over time. As you can see here from this chart showing progressive overload, how your performance actually increases over time, your injury and overtraining actually go down from being in a progressive overload because you're building that muscle at a safe pace. This research here proves that progressive overload is the single biggest driver of muscle hypertrophy. This means increasing weight, reps, or intensity over time is non-negotiable. The best exercises for recomp are compound movements because they recruit the most muscle and burn the most calories. So you want to focus on squats, your legs, glutes, and core, deadlifts, this is full body strength and posterior chain, as well as bench press for upper body mass. And then you want to do pull-ups and rows because it will widen your back and thickness, and then overhead press for shoulder and tricep development. Aim for 3 to 5 weight training sessions per week, hitting each muscle group at least twice, and make sure you're training hard enough. Progressive overload is key. As you can see in the 3 photos here, I have some squat form, the bench press form, and deadlift form. If you want to screenshot that just so you can have it, it's right there. Step 4, cardio and activity. What is actually the optimal amount? Cardio is important for fat loss, but too much of it can interfere with muscle growth. Here's how to balance it. So low intensity cardio like walking helps with fat loss without interfering with recovery, where high intensity training is efficient but should be limited to avoid muscle loss. As you can see in this graph, this is actually the fat burning zone. So you can check with your age and your heart rate, which is your beats per minute. So if you're, say, for example, myself, I'd be in the 20 range. You want to make sure that my BPM is in between 120 and 140. So that is my fat burning zone. I won't be losing muscle at that rate. Here's a study showing that high intensity cardio can impair muscle recovery, so we want to use it strategically. As you can see here, it's comparing the high intensity versus low intensity training for your heart rate. So as you can see, it's up and down for the high intensity, where the low intensity is more at a smooth rate. So over time, you're going to stay in that fat burning zone, where up and down, you're going to get into the muscle loss zone. Step 5, recovery. It's honestly the most overlooked factor in body recomposition. You don't build muscle in the gym, you build it when you recover. If you're not prioritizing sleep and stress management, your recomp results will suffer. Sleep deprivation effects on fat and muscle loss. If we start with the person on the left, this person lost 3 kilograms of weight, and they were sleeping for 5 hours and 30 minutes. But out of that 3 kilograms, only 20% of it was fat and 80% was muscle. The person was actually only sleeping for 5 hours and 14 minutes. But you can see here, it was very minimal fat loss and more muscle. And then if we go to the person on the right, they lost 2.9 kilograms of weight. They were sleeping for 8 hours and 30 minutes, where pretty much half of it was fat and half of it was muscle. So they were actually sleeping for 7 hours and 25 minutes in actual sleeping time. On the right here, this study shows that getting less sleep than 6 hours significantly reduces muscle protein synthesis and increases fat storage. So sleeping 7 to 9 hours per night for optimal muscle repair and hormone balance, stress management. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which breaks down muscle and makes fat loss harder. As you can see in this graph, the first half of the sleep and the second half of the sleep, growth hormone is at the start. It's very high at the start, where cortisol is more at the bottom and it's lower. But at the end of your sleep, halfway through, it raises and your growth hormone goes down. Realistic expectations and a timeline. So recomp is a slow process, but results are definitely worth it. Unlike the strict cut where you see the scale drop quickly, recomp results show up over months. Expect to see changes in strength, muscle definition, and body fat percentage over 3 to 6 months. This is actually my client, Chad. He went from 215 pounds to 182 pounds. He cut down a lot of his fat, you can see, and started getting more tone and building muscle, as you can see in his shoulders and his chest. Recomp isn't just about looking good. It's about optimizing your body for strength, performance, and longevity. If you follow these steps, dialing in your nutrition, training hard, and prioritizing recovery, you will see results. So if you found this helpful, Drop a comment below. And if you want more in-depth breakdowns like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content. And if you're ready to change not just your physique, but every area of your life, your confidence, your discipline, your mindset, that I want you to DM me YouTube on my Instagram, which is Evan Tressel. It's the same as my YouTube. I honestly wish when I started, I wish I had someone to guide me, to tell me what actually works instead of wasting years figuring it out on my own. So if you're actually serious, I only want serious guys that are actually ready to take that next step and make the change. Then hit me up and I'll see you in the next video.